Also new tonight, some Colorado families say technology problems with the state's Medicaid system are putting lives at risk.
Hundreds of thousands of Coloradans rely on our state's Medicaid system to survive. But your investigator, Katie Weiss, found Colorado's technology used to run the actual Medicaid system has been failing vulnerable families.
5, 6.
Table tennis practice is one of Tessa Taylor's favorite days of the week.
It makes me feel so happy and laugh. Now, oh!
With each swing, 11-year-old Tessa proudly says now to keep her rhythm strong.
No. No.
Tessa has cerebral palsy and epilepsy.
She laughs and she doesn't have seizures when she's doing sports.
No.
This particular practice is extra special. It's her first time back after a long break.
2, 3, 4.
Her mom, Jan Taylor, couldn't afford the lessons because the state wasn't paying her the Medicaid money she needs to cover Tessa's expensive health care.
We had to cancel all of her therapies, all of her specialist appointments, and go to the back of the list. I had to keep submitting the paperwork over and over again because the Peak app is not an ideal situation. It won't acknowledge that things have been uploaded into it, and I get asked for the same paperwork 3, 4, 6, 12 times.
We obtained documents illuminating dozens of other technological issues with the state's Medicaid platforms. For example, people's information hasn't been properly moving over from the old Medicaid case management system to the new one.
Tessa's epilepsy medications were due to be refilled. She can't go a day without them and she'd be dead. And I made that point. And they said, well, we don't have any prioritizing. You're just in list with everybody else. And I said, okay, I'll make sure. What's your name? Let me put that on her headstone and make sure that I know that it's your fault.
We also found some attempted fixes caused more problems. In February, the state sent out this letter saying a system update accidentally caused people with long-term disabilities to lose their benefits. The state says it jumped into action.
We implemented a series of pretty massive and significant safety net changes.
Bonnie Silva with the Colorado Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing, the agency responsible for Colorado's Medicaid system, says the reason for these problems is an unintended convergence of major federally required changes, including having to review people's Medicaid eligibility after the pandemic ended and redesign its case management system.
I don't think any leader in their right mind would have said, let's make these 3 things happen at the same time, but they converged at the same time.
Since last spring, state data shows more than 400,000 people's Medicaid claims were denied or delayed due to procedural reasons, and potentially more than 70,000 of them are due to tech issues.
That's disgraceful. Seriously, heads should roll.
The state insists that the majority of the 400,000 procedural denials are not their fault, but rather are a result of people failing to turn in proper paperwork. But Silva admits tech issues this year have affected people with long-term disabilities.
We deeply regret that those impacts have occurred.
Now her department is giving people with long-term disabilities 12 months paid leeway.
They're not going to have to worry about losing their benefits. And on top of that, we're sort of manually doing the work to make sure that their providers get paid.
Feet down first.
But people like Taylor, a 24/7 caregiver of her daughter with disabilities, remain skeptical. After months of no help, she only just received her Medicaid money 2 weeks ago.
We're drowning financially when these things happen. And then when it's the Medicaid issue, then our kids are at risk of dying because of their failure to perform.
Recently, a legal nonprofit even filed a civil rights complaint against the state, claiming the state is discriminating against people with disabilities by failing to resolve all of these problems. I'll introduce you to the attorneys spearheading that tomorrow on CBS News Colorado at 6 p.m. I'm Katie Weiss, covering Colorado First.